Welcome back, everyone. Today we're doing something a bit different. We're taking a deep dive into poor Charlie's Almanack.
That's right, but we're not just gonna skim the surface.
No way. We're going deep, analyzing the wisdom, and get this, we're gonna help you remember it all. Like, really imprint it on your brain.
Exactly. And we're gonna do that using, a pretty cool combination of delta brainwave learning.
Oh, sounds fancy.
And the memory palace technique.
Okay, hold on. Gotta break this down for me and everyone listening. Delta waves.
Yeah, think of them like your brain's super learning mode.
Super learning mode.
Like it's that state your brain's in during deep sleep when it's like really cementing those memories. And the memory palace.
Okay, yeah. What about that?
It's basically like creating a mental map of those insights.
Yeah.
You know, onto a place you're super familiar with. So you can create these like vivid, unforgettable scenes in your head.
So like instead of just reading facts, we're going to turn them into what, mental movies or something?
Something like that. Pretty powerful stuff.
I'm intrigued. So to get started, I guess everyone listening needs to get into this delta wave state.
Right.
All right, everyone, close your eyes, take a deep breath, and imagine yourself in a calm, comfortable setting.
And no pressure. We're not doing hypnosis or anything.
No hypnosis here.
It's more about, you know, just getting into that receptive state of mind.
Priming the canvas before creating a masterpiece, you can say.
There you go.
Okay. Eyes open, ready to roll. Our virtual tour bus awaits.
Hop on board.
And our first stop number 1. It's the Queen Mother Gates. Everyone got that picture in their mind.
Get that image locked in. It's about to get a lot more interesting.
Because at the Queen Mother Gates, we're tackling one of Munger's most well-known ideas, the lattice work of mental models.
Right. He was all about this idea that to really understand the world and make great decisions.
You gotta have more than just one way of looking at things.
Exactly. You need a whole bunch of mental models drawn from different fields, different areas of knowledge.
So like, not just finance or business, but also psychology, history, physics, the whole shebang.
Precisely.
Okay, so to help everyone visualize this, imagine this. The Queen Mother Gates have been transformed. They're now a giant loom.
Okay, I like where this is going.
And the Queen herself, she's weaving an intricate tapestry. But it's not just any tapestry. It's made of golden threads.
And each thread represents.
Each thread, that's a different mental model.
Yeah.
All interconnected, supporting each other.
Beautiful image. That's the lattice work. It helps you see the world from all these different angles, you know?
Spot the patterns that others might miss.
And ultimately make better decisions.
All right, back on the bus, everyone. Next stop number 2, it's Wellington Arch. And here's where things get a bit, well, crazy.
Lollapalooza effects.
Yep, those. So remember how Munger talked about how sometimes multiple forces combine?
Yeah, and they create these extreme outcomes.
And not always in the way you'd expect.
It's like a chain reaction. One factor amplifies the next, and boom.
Right. Okay, so for Wellington Arch, picture this. Instead of horses and chariots, it's like a massive parade.
Okay, a parade.
Clowns, acrobats, marching bands.
The whole shebang.
All converging on this one spot, creating this cacophony of sound and spectacle.
That's a Lollapalooza effect. And a great example Munger used, remember, was Coca-Cola.
Oh yeah, Coca-Cola. Their success. It wasn't just one brilliant idea.
Right. It was this amazing combination of marketing, distribution, and psychological hooks.
They created something practically irresistible.
Exactly.
Okay, next stop number 3. Apsley House Wellington Museum. Now, this one's closely tied to our lattice work. We're talking about multidisciplinarity.
Right. Think of it this way. If the lattice work is the structure, multidisciplinarity is the fuel.
Okay, I like that analogy. Fueling the lattice work.
You got to actively seek out knowledge from all these different areas, even fields that seem totally unrelated to what you're focused on.
So to make this stick, imagine Apsley House transformed into a giant library. But it's not your typical organized library. The books are everywhere, piled on tables, spilling out of shelves, just a chaotic jumble of knowledge.
Sounds like my kind of library. Organized chaos.
It's about embracing that chaos, that variety of ideas. Like, think about Leonardo da Vinci.
Ah, a true Renaissance man.
Right. He wasn't just a painter. He was an inventor, a scientist, an engineer.
That breadth of knowledge is what fueled his genius.
Exactly. All right, back on the bus. We're at stop number 4, Marble Arch, westbound. And guess what? Coca-Cola is back.
Can't get enough of that stuff, can we?
So remember our Lollapalooza effect?
Yeah.
The parade at Wellington Arch?
Yeah.
Now picture Marble Arch But it's not made of marble anymore. It's constructed entirely of Coca-Cola cans.
Oh, wow, that's a lot of Coca-Cola.
Stacked high, gleaming in the sun.
Okay, now that's a vivid image.
Right. It highlights that power of combining different forces.
Definitely.
All right, on to stop number 5. Hard Rock Cafe. Get ready to rock out with independent thinking.
Ah, yes. One of the cornerstones of Munger's philosophy.
He believed that to really succeed, you can't just follow the crowd.
You got to think for yourself. Question those assumptions.
And resist that urge to just go with the flow.
Exactly. It's about having the courage to go against the grain, even when it's uncomfortable.
So here's the image for this one. Picture the Hard Rock Cafe, right? But instead of blasting music, it's completely silent.
Silent? That's not very rock and roll.
I know, right? But everyone inside, they're wearing noise-canceling headphones.
Okay, I see where you're going with this.
Each person totally engrossed in their own thoughts.
Creating their own music, so to speak. I like it. It emphasizes carving out that space for independent thought.
Exactly. All right, stop number 6. Hyde Park. Time for a stroll and some contemplation on patience in investing.
Ah, yes. A virtue monger and Warren Buffett always championed.
They believe that rushing into decisions, well, that often leads to costly mistakes.
Exactly. You gotta wait for the right opportunity.
Like a batter waiting for the perfect pitch.
There you go.
So picture Hyde Park transformed into a giant chessboard. Each tree, that's a different investment opportunity.
Okay, I can see it.
But the players, they're not making rash moves. They're sitting patiently, studying the board, waiting for the right moment to strike.
That's the essence of calculated action.
All right, back on the bus. Next stop number 7, Wellington Memorial. And get ready for a bit of a wild ride. We're tackling the mental models of misjudgment.
Now, this is where things get really interesting. Munger was fascinated by how our brains can trick us.
Right, leading us to those bad decisions.
Exactly. And he believed that understanding these common cognitive biases...
Mental shortcuts.
Yeah, he thought it was crucial for avoiding mistakes.
So to help you remember this one, picture Wellington Memorial, but it's been transformed into a fun house.
A fun house. Okay, I'm listening.
Distorted mirrors, optical illusions, those trick stairs.
Oh, man, I hate those. So easy to get tricked.
Exactly. It shows how easy it is for our minds to play tricks on us.
And to tie it back to the concept, think about things like confirmation bias.
Where you only see the information that supports what you already believe.
Right, even if it's wrong.
Or anchoring bias. Getting stuck on that first piece of information you hear.
Munger was all about recognizing these pitfalls so we could make those more rational decisions.
Okay, next stop. Stop number 8. Lancaster Gate, northbound. Here we're talking opportunity cost.
Ah, yes. One of those fundamental principles in economics and decision-making.
Every choice you make has a trade-off.
Right. Choosing one path means you're missing out on others.
And those paths not taken. That's your opportunity cost.
Exactly.
All right, so for this one, picture Lancaster Gate, but it's been transformed into a giant crossroads.
Okay, lots of paths to choose from.
Each path, that's a different opportunity. Each one's tempting, but you can only choose one.
Right, and the ones you don't choose.
That's the opportunity cost, staring you right in the face.
It's like, let's say you decide to invest in one stock.
You can't invest in a different one at the same time.
Exactly. Or you choose to spend your time on one project.
You can't dedicate that same time to something else.
Understanding these trade-offs can help you make smarter choices.
Okay, moving right along. We're at stop number 9, Royal Albert Hall. And here we're shining a light on the circle of competence.
Ah, a cornerstone of Munger and Buffett's approach to investing.
Sticking within your circle of competence means you're focusing on what you know really, really well.
Right. And you're avoiding those tempting ventures into unfamiliar territory, no matter how tempting they might seem.
So imagine Royal Albert Hall. It's been transformed into a giant magnifying glass.
A magnifying glass, okay.
And it's focusing this intense beam of light on a specific area.
And that area represents?
Your area of expertise. Everything outside that circle, it's blurred, fuzzy.
It represents those areas where you lack that deep knowledge.
Exactly. It's about recognizing your strengths, you know?
Focusing your efforts where you have a genuine edge.
Okay, next stop. Stop number 10. Albert Memorial. And it's time to meet Mr. Market.
Ugh. One of Benjamin Graham's most insightful ideas. And of course, Graham was Munger's mentor.
So Graham imagined the market as this kind of, well...
manic depressive character, offering to buy or sell stocks at these wild prices.
Driven by emotion, not logic.
Exactly.
So picture Albert Memorial, transformed into this bustling marketplace.
Okay, a marketplace. I can see it.
But instead of friendly vendors, it's filled with, well, erratic characters.
Oh no.
Some are shouting these crazy high prices, others are practically begging you to sell low.
Chaotic and unpredictable, much like the market itself.
Right, exactly. So, the key takeaway here:
don't let Mr. Market's moods dictate your decisions.
focus on the underlying value of the businesses you're interested in.
Right, and wait for those opportunities when Mr. Market is offering a bargain.
All right, next stop. Stop number 11, Serpentine Gallery. And here we're diving into focus investing.
Another key principle championed by Munger and Buffett.
They believed in concentrating your investments, putting your eggs in fewer baskets, so to speak.
Right. Instead of spreading yourself too thin, you focus on a few truly great businesses.
Ones that you understand really well.
Exactly.
So, picture the Serpentine Gallery transformed into a laser beam.
Okay, a laser beam.
It's concentrating all its energy on a single point,
Ah.
just burning through any obstacles.
Powerful image. Focus all your energy. Get that big impact.
Exactly. All right, next stop. Stop number 12, Speaker's Corner. A very fitting location for contrarian thinking.
Munger was all about challenging conventional wisdom, thinking differently from the crowd.
Going against the grain. So to bring this to life, imagine Speaker's Corner transformed into a giant debate hall.
Okay, a debate hall.
But instead of polite discourse, it's full of these passionate arguments, people challenging each other's ideas with, real energy.
Lively and stimulating.
Just like the world of investing, right?
Yeah. Exactly. And it reminds me of that great line from George Bernard Shaw, "The reasonable man adapts himself to the world. The unreasonable one persists in trying to adapt the world to himself. Therefore, all progress depends on the unreasonable man."
That's the spirit of contrarian thinking.
Exactly. It's about having the courage to question the status quo, right?
Uh-huh.
And to seek out new and better ways of doing things.
Okay, let's move on to stop number 13, Marble Arch, eastbound. Here we're delving into margin of safety, crucial for value investing.
It's about buying businesses at a significant discount, right? Creating that buffer against potential mistakes or unexpected events.
Think of it as your safety net.
Exactly.
So imagine Marble Arch transformed into this giant vault. Its heavy doors, securely locked, protecting all the precious assets inside.
That's your margin of safety, protecting you from potential losses.
All right, next stop, stop number 14, Oxford Street. Time for some shopping.
Shopping?
Well, sort of. We're exploring value investing here, the philosophy championed by Benjamin Graham and Warren Buffett.
Finding those hidden gems.
Exactly. Value investing, it's all about buying businesses that are undervalued by the market.
Right. Focusing on their long-term earning power, not those short-term price fluctuations.
So, to help you remember this, picture Oxford Street, but it's been transformed into a giant flea market.
Okay, a flea market. I like it.
Stalls selling everything you can imagine. Antique furniture, vintage clothing, you name it.
Sounds like fun.
And amongst all that stuff, there are treasures. You just got to look for them.
Just like in the stock market.
Right. You got to sift through all the noise to find those businesses that are trading below their true worth.
It's like a skilled antique appraiser, right? They can spot a valuable piece that others might just dismiss.
They see the value even when it's hidden.
Exactly.
Okay, we're about halfway through our tour. Next up, stop number 15, Regent Street. Time to slow down and think about patience and discipline in investing.
These virtues are closely linked, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. It's about resisting those urges, the urge to chase those hot stocks or make a quick buck.
Right. You got to stick to your strategy.
Even when it feels tempting to stray.
Exactly.
So, to solidify this one, imagine Regent Street transformed into a serene Japanese garden.
Oh, I love
Those carefully raked gravel paths.
Yeah.
Those represent the path of a patient, disciplined investor.
A tranquil setting for a long-term approach.
Exactly. Okay, next stop. Stop number 16, Piccadilly Circus. And here we're confronting the importance of avoiding emotional decision-making.
Our emotions, they can be our worst enemy when it comes to investing.
They cloud our judgment, lead to those impulsive actions that we often regret later.
Gotta detach from the fear and the greed,
The things that drive those market swings.
Rely on that rational analysis.
So imagine this. Piccadilly Circus has been transformed. It's now a giant casino.
A casino.
Flashing lights, ringing slot machines, all that allure of risky bets.
Oh yeah, I know that feeling. It's so easy to get caught up in the excitement.
And that's exactly where emotions can really take over.
Definitely.
Okay, moving on to stop number 17, Trafalgar Square. Time to get serious about risk management.
An essential part of any successful investment strategy, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's all about understanding potential downsides and taking steps to mitigate those risks.
Whether it's through diversification, hedging, or simply just avoiding overly risky bets.
Now, picture this. Trafalgar Square is now a giant construction site. Scaffolding everywhere, safety nets, all those warning signs.
Playing it safe.
It might not be glamorous, but it's necessary. A reminder that safety and stability are paramount.
It's like a pilot carefully checking all the systems before takeoff.
Exactly.
They're mitigating potential risks, making sure everything's in order. It's about being thorough and prioritizing safety.
Okay, next stop. Stop number 18, Embankment Pier. And here, we're going to witness the power of compound interest.
Often called the eighth wonder of the world.
It's the magic of consistent long-term investing.
Right. Letting your returns grow exponentially over time, like a snowball rolling downhill, getting bigger and bigger.
I like that. A snowball effect. So for this one, imagine Embankment Pier transformed into a giant tree.
Okay, a giant tree.
The roots, those represent your initial investment.
All right.
And the branches, they're spreading wider each year.
And that represents
The exponential growth of compound interest.
powerful. It's amazing how that seemingly small starting point can grow into something massive over time.
It's like magic.
It really is the magic of compound interest.
All right, stop number 19, London Eye. Time to take a step back and think long-term with long-term thinking.
Munger and Buffett, they were all about the long game.
Right. They stressed focusing on the long-term prospects of a business, not getting caught up in all the short-term market noise.
Tuning out the distractions.
Exactly. So for this one, imagine the London Eye transformed into a giant clock, its hands moving slowly but steadily.
A reminder that time is on your side.
Exactly.
Think about a farmer, right? They plant a seed knowing it takes time to bear fruit.
That's the mindset of a long-term investor. Patience is key.
Absolutely.
Okay, we've arrived at stop number 20, Houses of Parliament. And here we're discussing the importance of ethical decision-making.
A principle that was deeply important to both Munger and Buffett.
They believe that integrity, ethical conduct, it's essential for long-term success.
It's about doing the right thing, even when it's hard.
Building a reputation for honesty, for trustworthiness.
Exactly.
So imagine the Houses of Parliament transformed into a giant courthouse.
Okay. A courthouse.
And those scales of justice, they represent the importance of fairness, integrity, that ethical conduct.
It's a reminder that our decisions have consequences.
And doing the right thing matters.
Absolutely. A judge, they uphold the law even when facing pressure or temptation.
That's the kind of moral compass we need, right?
Exactly. Setting a high standard, acting with integrity, and inspiring trust.
All right, on to stop number 21. Big Ben. Here we're synchronizing ourselves with rationality and objectivity.
Essential for any successful investor. Making those decisions based on facts and logic, not emotions.
Right, not getting swept up in the hype.
Detachment from the hysteria that can drive those market swings.
So to help us remember this, imagine Big Ben, but it's been transformed into a giant metronome.
A metronome, keeping that steady beat.
Exactly, representing that calm, measured approach of a rational investor.
Disciplined and unemotional.
Focus on the facts, not the whims of the market.
Think about a scientist, conducting an experiment, carefully controlling those variables.
Objectively observing the results.
That's the approach we need as investors.
All right, next stop number 22, Downing Street. And be careful not to get too cocky here because we're talking about avoiding overconfidence.
It's easy to fall into that trap, right? Thinking we know more than we do.
Especially when things are going well.
Exactly. But we're all susceptible to biases. Our judgment can be flawed even when we feel certain.
So to really drive this home, imagine Downing Street transformed into a giant game of Jenga.
Jenga.
Those precariously balanced blocks. They represent how fragile our assumptions can be.
And the dangers of overconfidence.
Even the most carefully constructed plans can collapse.
Think about a seasoned chess player, right?
They wouldn't underestimate their opponent, even with a strong position.
Exactly. They know that one mistake can change everything.
It's about having that humility.
Recognizing our limitations, being open to new information.
And avoiding arrogance.
Absolutely.
All right, next stop number 23, Horse Guards Parade. Time to tackle the importance of learning from mistakes.
Munger was a big believer in embracing failures, not as setbacks, but as opportunities to learn.
Don't dwell on them, don't get discouraged.
Use them to improve. to get better.
So picture Horse Guards Parade transformed into a giant obstacle course.
Okay, an obstacle course.
Those challenging hurdles, they represent the setbacks we all face in life.
Right, and it becomes a test of strength, agility, determination.
Exactly. It's a reminder that we can overcome any obstacle, as long as we're willing to learn from those mistakes and keep pushing forward.
Think about a child learning to walk. They fall countless times before they get it right.
Right. That persistence is what makes us
That's
better.
what helps us grow.
Okay, next stop. Stop number 24, St. James Palos. And here we're learning to navigate the maze of avoiding the herd mentality.
Another common pitfall that can lead to those irrational decisions.
Especially in investing, right? It can feel safe to just follow the crowd.
Right, but it can also lead you astray.
So, to really get this, imagine St. James's Palace transformed into a giant maze.
A maze, okay.
Those winding paths, they represent the confusion of following the herd.
Right, because the easiest path isn't always the best one.
Exactly. Sometimes you gotta forge your own path.
Think about a salmon swimming upstream against the current.
Right. It takes strength to go against the grain.
But it's often necessary to reach your goals.
Okay. Our next stop, stop number 25, Buckingham Palace. And here we're stepping into the Royal Library of the importance of reading and continuous learning.
Munger and Buffett were both voracious readers.
They never stopped learning.
Knowledge is power, right? You gotta keep seeking out new information.
Expanding your horizons.
Challenging those assumptions.
Always be learning.
Exactly. So for this one, imagine Buckingham Palace. But it's been transformed into this giant library.
The shelves are overflowing with books on every subject.
Oh, I love that.
It's a treasure trove of knowledge.
Think of yourself as a sponge, constantly absorbing water, you know.
Always expanding, never getting full.
Exactly. That's what a lifelong learner is like. Always curious, always seeking out that new knowledge.
All right, we've reached stop number 26, Westminster Abbey. And as we step inside, let's contemplate the importance of patience in decision-making.
Another virtue Munger and Buffett emphasize constantly.
They believed it's better to wait for that perfect opportunity.
Than to rush into something you might regret. Sometimes the best decisions are the ones we don't make.
That's true. So imagine Westminster Abbey transformed into a giant hourglass.
An hourglass, okay.
That slowly falling sand, it represents the passage of time.
A reminder that good things come to those who wait.
And rushing into decisions can lead to mistakes.
Think about a sculptor, you know, patiently chiseling away at a block of stone, carefully shaping it into a work of art.
It's about taking your time, weighing the options, the pros, the cons, resisting that urge to act impulsively.
That's what a patient decision maker does.
All right, next stop, stop number 27, 10 Downing Street. And here we're exploring the power of incentives.
A fundamental principle in economics and human behavior.
Absolutely. People respond to incentives, both good and bad.
Right. And understanding how they work can be a really powerful tool.
So imagine 10 Downing Street transformed into a giant game board.
A game board.
And the squares on the board, those represent the different incentives.
Motivating people to act.
Yeah.
Or to avoid certain actions.
Exactly. Like a company might offer bonuses to employees who exceed sales targets.
Or a government might offer tax breaks to businesses that invest in renewable energy.
It's all about shaping behavior to achieve certain goals.
Exactly.
All right, on to stop number 28, Whitehall.
And it's time to play a game of optical illusions as we explore avoiding cognitive biases.
Our brains love to take shortcuts, right? It's efficient, but sometimes it leads to errors in judgment.
Those mental shortcuts, those are the biases.
Right. And understanding these biases can help us make better decisions, more objective ones.
So picture Whitehall transformed into a giant optical illusion.
Okay, an optical illusion.
Those distorted lines and shapes, they represent the ways our brains can trick us.
Our perceptions aren't always reliable. We got to be aware of those tricks.
Exactly. Like, think about the availability heuristic. Where we overestimate the likelihood of events because they're so vivid in our minds, like plane crashes.
Because we hear about them a lot.
Exactly. Or confirmation bias, where we only seek out information that confirms what we already believe.
Even if it's not true, it's about being aware of these tendencies so we can make more rational, more fact-based decisions.
Absolutely.
Okay, let's move on to stop number 29, Banqueting House. Time to enjoy a feast as we discuss the importance of diversification.
It's all about spreading your investments, right, across a range of different things.
Asset classes, industries, geographic locations.
To reduce that impact of any single investment going south.
Right, you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket.
Exactly.
So imagine banqueting house transformed into this giant buffet table.
A buffet? I'm hungry already.
All those different dishes. Those represent the diversity of investments that are out there.
And by sampling different options, you create a more balanced portfolio.
Exactly. One that's more resilient, better able to weather the ups and downs.
It's like a farmer who plants different crops, right?
To protect themselves in case one fails.
Exactly. They're spreading their risk. Diversification is all about that, reducing the impact of any single event.
Creating a portfolio that can weather the storms.
All right, we've reached stop number 30, Downing Street, southbound. Time to swim against the tide with the importance of contrarian thinking in investing.
This was something that Munger and Buffett really mastered.
Right. It's about being willing to go against the crowd, buying when others are selling, selling when others are buying.
Finding those opportunities that everyone else has overlooked.
Exactly. So to help us remember this, imagine Downing Street transformed into a giant swimming pool.
Okay, a swimming pool.
Everyone's swimming in one direction, following the current. But the contrarian investor, they're swimming against the tide.
Looking for those hidden gems.
Exactly. Like a salmon swimming upstream. It's about trusting your own analysis.
Charting your own course.
Even when it means going against the grain.
Okay, next stop. Stop number 31, the cenotaph. Here, we're contemplating the folly of avoiding market timing.
Munger and Buffett, they believed it was impossible to consistently time the market.
And trying to do it. It often leads to mistakes, costly mistakes.
It's much better to focus on finding those great businesses and holding on to them.
Riding out those ups and downs.
Exactly. So imagine the cenotaph transformed into a giant clock, its hands spinning wildly.
Representing how unpredictable the market can be.
Trying to predict those short-term movements, it's a fool's errand.
Focus on the long game.
Think about a weather forecaster, right? They can predict general climate trends, but they can't tell you the exact temperature or rainfall on a specific day.
Same with the market. We can make educated guesses about the long-term direction, but pinpointing those short-term swings.
It's a recipe for frustration.
All right, stop number 32, Admiralty Arch. Let's focus our attention on the importance of focus in investing.
Another key principle for achieving superior returns.
It's about concentrating your investments.
Right. Instead of spreading yourself too thin, you put your energy into a handful of great businesses, ones that you really understand.
This allows you to really go deep, develop that expertise and make more informed decisions.
Exactly. So remember our giant magnifying glass at Royal Albert Hall?
Yeah.
Imagine Admiralty Arch transformed into the same thing.
Okay, focusing that beam of light.
All that energy concentrated on one specific area. That's the power of focus.
Like a laser beam cutting through steel. Intense, precise.
Exactly. It's about putting all your resources, your time, your mental energy where you have the greatest potential for success.
All right, we've arrived at stop number 33, Trafalgar Square, South Side. Let's settle in for a long game of chess as we explore the importance of patience in investing once again.
This was so central to Munger and Buffett's approach.
Finding those truly great investments, it's rare.
You gotta wait for the right opportunity.
Resist the urge to chase those hot stocks.
Don't make those impulsive decisions.
Have the discipline to wait for that perfect setup.
Exactly. So, picture Trafalgar Square, but now it's a giant chessboard.
Okay, each square, that's an investment opportunity.
But instead of rushing to make a move, that patient investor,
They're studying the board.
carefully, thinking it through, waiting for that perfect moment to strike.
I like that. It's like a lion stalking its prey,
There you go. They have the discipline to wait for that perfect opportunity.
knowing it'll be worth it in the end.
Exactly.
Okay, on to stop number 34, Canada House. Time to dust off the crystal ball because we're talking about the importance of avoiding market predictions.
Market predictions are notoriously unreliable.
Trying to time the market is it's like trying to predict the future.
Exactly. You can't do it consistently. And trying to, well, it just leads to those mistakes we talked about.
It's better to focus on what you can control.
Right. Finding great businesses, holding them for the long run.
So imagine Canada House transformed into a giant crystal ball. But the inside, it's cloudy, murky.
Representing that uncertainty of the future. We can't see clearly. And we shouldn't pretend that we can.
It's a distraction from those core principles of investing.
Think about it like this. A meteorologist, they can predict general weather patterns, but can they tell you the exact temperature or rainfall on a given day?
Probably not.
It's the same with the market. You can make those educated guesses about the long-term direction, but trying to pinpoint those short-term swings.
Waste of time and energy.
Exactly.
All right, stop number 35, St. Paul's Cathedral. And here, we're going treasure hunting.
Treasure hunting.
We're talking about the importance of value investing.
Yes. The philosophy that has generated those amazing returns over time.
It's about finding those businesses that are undervalued, overlooked by the market.
Seeing their intrinsic worth.
Not just their current price.
Exactly. So picture this. St. Paul's Cathedral is transformed. It's a giant antique shop now.
The shelves are overflowing with treasures.
Treasures from different eras, representing those businesses that you can find if you're willing to look.
It's about being a savvy shopper. Spotting those diamonds in the rough.
A diamond in the rough. It might appear dull and unassuming, but once it's cut and polished...
its true brilliance is revealed.
Exactly. Value investing is all about that, recognizing that intrinsic value, even when it's masked by the market.
Okay, we've made it to stop number 36, Tower of London. Let's step inside and fortify ourselves with the importance of margin of safety in investing.
Always got to have that buffer. Remember, buying those businesses at a discount.
Creating that cushion, that protection against potential mistakes.
Or unforeseen events.
Imagine the Tower of London transformed into this impenetrable fortress. Those thick walls, sturdy defenses, they represent the margin of safety.
Protecting you from potential harm.
Exactly. It's like a bridge that's designed to withstand loads far greater than it's expected to carry. That extra strength, that's the margin of safety.
You're prepared for the worst, even if it never comes.
All right, stop number 37. Tower Bridge. Time to step into our metaphorical time machine. We're revisiting the importance of long-term thinking in investing.
Thinking about those long-term prospects.
Not getting distracted by all that short-term market noise.
It's a recurring theme, right? And for good reason.
So many successful investors, they've emphasized this.
They've understood the power of time.
So for this one, imagine Tower Bridge transformed into a time machine. It's going to transport us years into the future to see how our investments have grown.
To see the fruits of our patience.
It's a powerful reminder that the choices we make today can really have a lasting impact.
Like a gardener tending to their plants, right?
Knowing it takes time and care for those plants to blossom.
It's a gradual process. Building wealth is the same way.
All right, let's cruise over to stop number 38, City Hall, where we'll find our inner zen. We're talking about avoiding emotional decision-making again.
Because our emotions, they can really mess things up when it comes to investing.
They lead us to those impulsive actions that we often regret later.
Right. We got to detach from the fear and the greed.
The things that really drive those market swings.
And focus on that rational analysis, that cool-headed approach.
So picture City Hall transformed into a giant meditation center.
A meditation center.
That peaceful atmosphere represents the mindset we need. Calm, measured, unemotional.
Especially when things get crazy in the market.
When those emotions are running high, we need to take a step back.
Take a deep breath and make decisions based on logic, not fear.
Exactly. It's like a surgeon performing a complex operation.
They gotta stay focused, calm, even when facing those unexpected challenges. That's the mindset we need to cultivate.
Okay, stop number 39, Monument. Let's spin the Wheel of Fortune.
Wheel of Fortune.
We're discussing the importance of understanding risk.
A fundamental concept for any investor.
Right. Every investment carries some level of risk.
And understanding that risk is crucial for making good choices.
It's about finding that balance.
Right, between risk and potential reward, making sure you're not taking on more than you can handle.
So picture Monument transformed into a giant game of roulette. That spinning wheel, it represents that uncertainty, that inherent risk of investing.
Each spin, a different outcome. You never know what's going to happen.
Just like in the market, right? Risk is part of the game.
Exactly. And knowing how to manage it is what separates successful investors from the rest.
All right, hold on tight. We're heading to stop number 40, Shakespeare's Globe. And here, we're going to raise the curtain on the importance of avoiding speculation.
Speculation. That dangerous game that often leads to financial ruin.
It's about remembering that true investing, It's about buying businesses, not gambling on those short-term price movements.
Exactly. I got to focus on the fundamentals, a company's long-term potential.
Their earnings, their competitive advantage, their management team, not trying to predict those market swings.
So to make this stick, imagine Shakespeare's globe transformed into a giant casino. Flashing lights, ringing slot machines, all that allure of easy money.
Yeah, it's tempting. But remember, gambling is not investing.
Right. And while there might be a few lucky winners, the odds are always stacked against you.
It's a recipe for disaster.
Think about a farmer who carefully cultivates their crops, They put in the time and effort, they understand that it takes hard work to reap those rewards. Building wealth is the same way.
It takes discipline.
Focus.
A commitment to the long-term fundamentals of sound investing.
Not shortcuts.
Okay, time for a moment of serenity at stop number 41, Southwark Cathedral. We're reflecting on the importance of patience and discipline in investing, once again.
These two virtues go hand in hand.
Absolutely. They're essential for long-term success in the market.
You got to resist those urges. To chase hot stocks, to make rash decisions.
Stick to your strategy, even when it's tempting to stray.
Exactly. Consistency is key, especially when markets are volatile, when your emotions are running high. You got to stay the course.
So imagine Southwark Cathedral. It's been transformed into a serene Japanese garden.
Oh, I love this.
Those carefully raked gravel paths. They represent the disciplined path of that patient investor.
It's a tranquil setting, perfect for reminding us that true success often comes from resisting those impulsive actions.
Right. Staying focused on the long game.
Think about a marathon runner, They don't sprint at the start. They pace themselves carefully, conserving energy for the long haul.
That's the mindset we need.
Exactly. Resist those temptations to get caught up in the short-term noise. You got to keep your eyes on the prize.
All right, back on the bus. We're approaching stop number 42, London Bridge. And it's time to avoid market timing again.
Remember, it's a fool's errand, trying to predict those short-term moves.
Munger and Buffett knew this, and we should learn from them.
Exactly. Instead of trying to outsmart the market.
Focus on finding those great businesses.
Right. Holding on to them for the long run.
Riding out those ups and downs.
So, to help us remember this, picture London Bridge transformed into a giant wave pool.
A wave pool.
Yeah, those unpredictable waves. They represent the volatile nature of the market. Trying to time the market is like trying to surf on a stormy sea.
You might catch a few good waves, but...
And you're more likely to get wiped out.
Exactly. Focus on the fundamentals, not the waves.
A seasoned sailor. They don't fight the tides or the winds, right? They adjust their sails and navigate skillfully.
That's what we need to do. Adjust our sails and focus on the long term.
Exactly.
Okay, we're diving deep at stop number 43, HMS Belfast. Back to the importance of value investing.
Finding those undervalued businesses.
The ones the market has overlooked.
We're looking for that intrinsic worth, not just the current price tag.
So picture this. HMS Belfast has been transformed. It's a giant treasure chest now, full of valuable artifacts, precious gems.
And those represent
those undervalued businesses, the ones just waiting to be discovered.
Think about how a pearl is formed, right? It starts as a tiny irritant inside an oyster.
But over time,
it becomes this beautiful, valuable gem. A value investor sees that potential. They see that hidden beauty.
Okay, stop number 44. London Bridge, southbound. We're back on the bridge. And it's time to talk margin of safety again.
Gotta have that buffer, remember.
Always. Buying businesses at a discount. Creating that cushion against those potential mistakes or unexpected events.
It's that extra layer of protection.
So imagine London Bridge, but it's transformed into a suspension bridge, with those strong cables and those sturdy supports.
Representing the margin of safety.
Protecting our investments from those potential losses.
It's like a skydiver, They wear a parachute just in case something goes wrong.
Right, you always got to be prepared for the worst case scenario, even if it never happens.
That's what a margin of safety is all about.
All right, stop number 45. Hayes Galleria. Let's wander through this architectural gem and consider the importance of long-term thinking again.
We've talked about this a lot, but it's so important.
It really is. It's about taking that long view, focusing on those long-term prospects of a business.
Not letting those daily ups and downs in the market get to you.
Right. We got to let our investments grow and compound over time.
Like a redwood tree reaching for the sky.
So for this one, imagine Hayes Galleria transformed into a giant greenhouse.
The greenhouse, okay.
The interior is full of plants, trees, all in different stages of growth.
representing our portfolio slowly growing and maturing.
Exactly. Think of it like a winemaker, patiently aging their wine.
It takes time for those flavors to develop to reach their full potential.
Building wealth is the same way. It's a gradual
It
process.
takes patience, it takes discipline.
And a willingness to let time work its magic. No shortcuts.
Absolutely.
Hold on to your hats, folks. We're heading into stop number 46, London Dungeon. Time to face our fears and talk about avoiding emotional decision-making one more time.
Emotions are powerful, right? But they can also lead us down the wrong path when it comes to investing.
They cause us to make those impulsive choices, the ones we often regret later.
We got to separate ourselves from the fear, from the greed.
Stick to that rational analysis.
In a well-defined strategy.
So imagine the London Dungeon transformed into a giant panic room.
A panic room.
Yeah, those secure walls, they represent the mental discipline we need.
Right. To protect ourselves from those emotional swings of the market.
When things get scary.
Stay calm.
Exactly. Stick to the plan. Let logic be your guide.
Think about a firefighter, right?
They're trained to stay cool under pressure.
Exactly. Even when facing danger and chaos. That's the mindset we need to cultivate as investors. Stay cool, stay calm.
Okay, stop number 47. Tooley Street. Time for a balancing act. We're examining the importance of understanding risk again.
All investments carry some degree of risk, right? And we can't just ignore that.
We have to understand it.
Understanding the nature of that risk, that's crucial for making sound decisions.
It's about that balance, right?
Yeah, right. Risk versus potential reward. Making sure we're not overextending ourselves.
So, to help visualize this, picture Tooley Street transformed into a giant tightrope, stretched high above the ground.
Representing that delicate balance between risk and reward.
One wrong step and...
It could all come crashing down. It's a risky business.
Exactly. Think of a mountain climber, right? They carefully assess the risks, the challenges.
They plan their route meticulously.
They take all the necessary precautions.
A prudent investor does the same. They carefully evaluate risk.
Take steps to minimize it.
And never risk more than they can afford to lose.
Okay, next stop. Stop number 48, London Bridge experience. Let's sift through the dirt as we avoid speculation.
Remember, true investing is about buying businesses, not trying to get rich quick.
Right. No shortcuts. We're focusing on those fundamentals.
The earnings, the competitive advantages, the management team.
Not trying to outsmart the market.
Exactly. So for this one, imagine the London Bridge experience transformed into a giant game of chance. Spinning wheels, flashing lights, all that allure of speculation.
It's a reminder that gambling is not investing.
And while some might get lucky in the short term, in the long run, the house always wins.
Think of it like a gold miner, you know?
Painstakingly panning for gold.
Yeah, sifting through tons of rock and dirt, looking for those precious nuggets.
A true investor does the same. Diligent research, looking for those companies with strong fundamentals and long-term growth potential.
All right, we're heading back to familiar ground. Stop number 49, City Hall, eastbound. Time for another Zen moment as we discuss patience and discipline in investing once more.
It's like a broken record.
But an important one, right? These are such essential virtues.
Resist the urge to jump on those hot stocks, to make impulsive decisions.
We've got to stick to our strategy.
Even when it feels tempting to stray.
Especially when emotions are running high.
Exactly. Stay the course. That's what separates those successful investors from everyone else.
So remember our tranquil Japanese garden.
At Regent Street.
Yeah. Let's imagine City Hall transformed the same way. Those carefully raked gravel paths, those strategically placed rocks, representing that disciplined approach.
The calmness, the patience of a successful investor.
Think about a bonsai tree, you know?
Carefully pruned and shaped over years and years.
Exactly. That takes patience, precision.
That's what a disciplined investor does with their portfolio.
All right, stop number 50, Tower of London. And the clock is ticking as we remind ourselves to avoid market timing once again.
It's a fool's game. Try and predict those short-term moves.
Munger and Buffett knew it, and we should too.
Focus on the long term.
Finding those great businesses, holding on to them, riding out those inevitable ups and downs.
So for this one, imagine the Tower of London. It's been transformed into a giant grandfather clock, that pendulum swinging steadily back and forth.
Representing
the cyclical nature of the market. Markets go up. Markets go down.
Trying to predict those swings is a losing battle.
Think of a farmer, you know.
They understand the seasons.
Exactly. There's a time for planting, a time for harvesting. It's the natural cycle of things. And markets are cyclical too. Trying to time those cycles, well, It's a distraction from those core principles of sound investing.
Okay, we're digging deep at stop number 51, Tower Hill. We're revisiting the importance of value investing.
Unearthing those hidden gems.
Exactly, finding those businesses that are undervalued by the market.
It's about looking beyond the surface, seeing the potential.
So imagine Tower Hill transformed into a giant archaeological dig. Those layers of earth, they represent the different levels of the market. And somewhere in there,
Those undervalued businesses are just waiting to be discovered.
think about a paleontologist carefully extracting fossils from the earth. They're piecing together history, revealing those hidden treasures.
A value investor does the same. They carefully examine those businesses, looking for signs of intrinsic value, knowing that the market doesn't always get it right.
All right, stop number 52. London Bridge, northbound. We're back on the bridge. And this time, it's all about the importance of margin of safety in investing.
Gotta have that buffer. Remember, buying businesses at a discount, creating that cushion to protect ourselves from those mistakes, those unexpected events.
So picture London Bridge. It's a giant fortress now, with those sturdy walls and a deep moat representing that margin of safety.
Think about a ship's captain.
They carry extra supplies.
Right, exactly, because they know they might encounter storms or delays.
It's about being prepared.
Exactly. And a prudent investor does the same. They build in that margin of safety, knowing that markets can be unpredictable.
Okay, stop number 53. Monument. Time to watch the shadows shift as we reflect on the importance of long-term thinking and investing.
Focusing on those long-term prospects, not letting the market's daily fluctuations distract us.
Letting those investments grow and compound.
Like a bamboo forest, slowly spreading and thriving.
So imagine Monument transformed into a giant sundial. That shadow slowly creeping across its face, representing the passage of time.
And the magic of compounding.
Right. Time is our greatest ally when it comes to investing.
Think about a sculptor, meticulously chiseling away at a block of stone, slowly revealing that masterpiece within.
It takes time.
A long-term investor approaches their portfolio the same way, patiently cultivating it, knowing that real wealth is built over time.
No quick fixes. It's a marathon, not a sprint.
Exactly.
All right, let's find some inner peace at stop number 54, St. Paul's Cathedral. Time to remind ourselves to avoid emotional decision-making.
Emotions can really derail our investment strategy.
Leading to those impulsive choices, the ones that often lead to those bad outcomes.
We got to detach from the fear and greed.
Rely on that rational analysis.
Have a well-defined strategy and stick to it.
So imagine St. Paul's Cathedral transformed into this giant sanctuary.
Representing the calm, the rational mindset that we need as investors.
Right. When the market's turbulent, we need to seek refuge in logic.
Not let fear or greed control us.
It's like a judge, carefully weighing the evidence, right?
Impartially. Setting aside those personal biases to reach a fair verdict.
A disciplined investor does the same. They make those objective decisions based on the facts, not on their feelings.
Exactly.
Okay, stop number 55, Fleet Street. Time for a strategic game. We're exploring the importance of understanding risk once more.
All investments carry some level of risk, and we can't just ignore that.
We gotta understand it.
Right. Knowing how to assess that risk to manage it.
That's a key skill for any investor.
It's about thinking strategically, carefully considering every move.
So imagine Fleet Street transformed into a giant game of chess. Each move, a calculated risk, a potential reward.
A skilled investor analyzes the board, they anticipate, they make strategic decisions.
Just like a chess player, right? Thinking several steps ahead. Okay, we've reached stop number 56, Royal Courts of Justice. Let's steer clear of trouble as we talk about the importance of avoiding speculation once again.
Remember, true investing. It's about buying businesses, not playing the market.
Not chasing those quick riches.
Focus on those long-term fundamentals. The earnings, the competitive advantage, the strength of the management team.
Not trying to outsmart the market. That's a recipe for disaster.
Exactly. So imagine the Royal Courts of Justice. But now they've been transformed into a giant casino.
Flashing lights, ringing slot machines.
Tempting, isn't it? But remember, gambling is not investing.
And those who try to game the system, they often end up losing everything.
A farmer carefully selects the seeds they plant, right? They choose the ones they know will thrive.
They're not just gambling on any random seed.
Exactly, and a true investor does the same. They carefully select the companies they invest in.
Focusing on those with strong fundamentals, the ones with that long-term potential.
Absolutely.
All right, we're strolling down stop number 57, strand as we reflect on the importance of patience and discipline in investing once again.
These virtues, they go hand in hand, and they're so crucial for success in investing.
Resisting those urges to chase those hot stocks, to make those impulsive decisions.
Sticking to your plan.
Especially when the market gets rough.
That's what separates the winners from the losers. Staying the course, having that discipline.
So, picture Strand transformed into a beautiful Japanese tea garden. Those carefully raked gravel paths. They represent the path of a disciplined investor.
It's all about finding that peace, that tranquility, amidst the chaos of the market.
Right. It's a reminder that real success, it comes from staying focused on the long game, not getting swept up in those daily dramas.
Think of a martial artist, you know? They practice their forms with such precision.
Repetition, focus.
Exactly. They repeat those same movements over and over to achieve mastery.
That's what a disciplined investor does. They consistently apply their strategy, resist those impulsive urges, and stick to their plan, knowing it will yield those long-term rewards.
It's about mastery.
Okay, stop number 58, Charing Cross Station. Let's check the weather vane as we remind ourselves to avoid market timing one last time.
Trying to time the market, it's like trying to predict the weather.
Impossible to do consistently, and it can lead to so many costly mistakes.
It's much better to focus on finding those great businesses and holding on to them.
Riding out the storms.
Exactly.
So picture Charing Cross Station. It's now a giant weather vane, spinning erratically in the wind, representing that unpredictable nature of the market.
You never know which way it's going to blow.
That's why we got to focus on those long-term fundamentals.
Think about a gardener. They can't control the weather, right? But they still plant their seeds at the right time. And with patience and care,
those plants will grow.
Exactly. It's the same with investing. We can't control the market, but we can control our approach.
All right, we've arrived at stop number 59, Trafalgar Square, Northside. Time to go bargain hunting.
Bargain hunting.
We're revisiting the importance of value investing one last time.
Finding those hidden gems.
Exactly. Those businesses the market is undervalued.
Focusing on their intrinsic worth, not just the current price tag.
So, picture Trafalgar Square.
Yeah.
But now, it's a giant flea market.
Okay, I like it.
Full of stalls selling all sorts of interesting merchandise.
And it's up to us to be those savvy shoppers.
To spot those undervalued items, to get a great deal.
A book collector, they might stumble upon a rare first edition in a used bookstore, right?
And they recognize its true value, even though it's surrounded by all those other less valuable books.
A value investor does the same thing. They find those businesses that are trading below their intrinsic worth. They know that the market doesn't always get it right.
Okay, stop number 60, Canada House. Let's lock up our valuables as we discuss the importance of margin of safety in investing.
Gotta protect those assets, remember.
Always. Buying those businesses at a discount, building in that buffer to protect us from mistakes and unexpected events.
Like having a financial safety net.
Exactly. So imagine Canada House. But now it's a giant vault with those heavy doors and reinforced walls representing that margin of safety protecting our investments.
It's like a bridge engineer, you know, designing a bridge to withstand those loads far greater than it's expected to carry.
Making sure it can handle anything.
That extra strength, that's the margin of safety. It's about recognizing that our calculations aren't always perfect and unexpected events, they can happen.
Okay, we've reached stop number 61, Admiralty Arch. Let's gaze into the future as we consider the importance of long-term thinking in investing one last time.
Thinking about those long-term prospects, those big picture ideas.
Not getting caught up in the day-to-day noise.
Letting our investments grow and compound over time.
Like a redwood tree, slowly but surely reaching for the sky.
I love that image. So for this one, imagine Admiralty Arch transformed into a giant telescope. Its lens, it's peering into the future.
Allowing us to see the potential of our investments.
It's a reminder that the decisions we make today, they have a lasting impact on our future, on our financial well-being. Patience and a long-term perspective, those are key.
Think of it like an architect. They design a building to last for generations, thinking about its future use, how it will withstand the test of time.
A long-term investor, they consider the same things. They're thinking about the long-term prospects of a business.
Understanding that real wealth, it's built over time. It's not an overnight thing.
Exactly. It takes time, it takes patience.
All right, we're finding our inner peace at stop number 62, Horse Guards Parade, as we revisit the importance of avoiding emotional decision-making one last time.
Gotta keep those emotions in check.
They can be our worst enemy. especially when it comes to investing.
We have to detach from the fear, from the greed,
Rely on that rational analysis, that clear-headed decision-making.
and stick to our strategy.
So picture Horse Guards Parade. But now it's this peaceful meditation retreat, representing that calm, rational mindset that we need, that tranquility amidst the chaos of the market.
It's like a pilot navigating a turbulent flight.
Right, staying calm and collected.
Exactly. They rely on their training, their experience, they don't panic, and they get everyone safely to their destination.
That's what a disciplined investor does. They stay calm even when the market's going crazy.
Yep.
They don't make those emotional decisions that can lead to big mistakes.
Exactly.
Okay, stop number 63, St. James's Park. Time for a strategic game as we explore the importance of understanding risk one more time.
Because all investments, they come with some level of risk. And recognizing that, understanding it, it's crucial.
It's about carefully weighing those risks and those potential rewards, making sure we're not taking on more than we can handle.
Like a game of strategy,
Yeah.
thinking about all the possible moves.
Anticipating your opponent. So imagine St. James's Park transformed into like a giant chessboard or something, with all the players huddled around, thinking carefully about each move.
Assessing those risks, those potential rewards, just like an investor.
It's a mental game as much as anything else.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, we've reached stop number 64, Buckingham Palace. Let's step inside this grand palace and avoid those halls of mirrors.
Ah, the halls of mirror.
We're talking about avoiding speculation one last time.
It's a reminder that true investing, it's about buying those businesses, not getting caught up in those get-rich-quick schemes.
Right. No chasing illusions.
So picture Buckingham Palace, but it's been transformed into this giant hall of mirrors.
Oh, those distorted reflections. They represent those illusions, those false promises of speculation.
It's a trap that's easy to fall into. It's all smoke and mirrors. It's about remembering that those get-rich-quick schemes, those easy money promises, they rarely pan out.
Think of a gold prospector. They're out there carefully panning for gold, sifting through piles and piles of dirt and gravel to find those few precious nuggets.
That's what a true investor does. They do their research. They're looking for companies with solid fundamentals.
Long-term potential.
Exactly. They're not chasing illusions. They're in it for the long haul.
Okay, let's march towards stop number 65, Wellington Arch, where we'll focus on the importance of patience and discipline in investing.
Those two virtues, they're essential.
Absolutely. Resisting those urges to chase hot stocks, to make those impulsive decisions.
Sticking to your plan, even when the market throws you a curveball.
Staying the course.
Exactly.
So imagine Wellington Arch transformed into a giant metronome,
Keeping that steady beat.
representing the disciplined approach of a successful investor. Just like a musician practices diligently to achieve mastery.
Right. Repetition, focus, discipline.
An investor needs to apply their strategy with that same level of patience, that same level of discipline.
It's a marathon, not a sprint. Think about a marathon runner. They train for months, right? Increasing their endurance, building up their speed.
They understand that success takes time, persistence,
A willingness to push through the discomfort.
and building wealth. It's the same thing. It's a marathon. It requires that long-term perspective and the willingness to stick to your plan even when it's tough.
Exactly.
Okay, we're back where we started. Stop number 66, Queen Mother Gates. Time to reflect on the importance of avoiding market timing. One last time as we wrap up our tour.
Remember, trying to time the market. It's impossible to do consistently.
And it often leads to costly mistakes. We're much better off focusing on those long-term fundamentals,
Finding those great businesses.
holding on to them.
And riding out those inevitable market ups and downs.
So one last image for you all. Imagine the Queen Mother Gates transformed into a giant kaleidoscope.
All those ever-changing patterns.
Yeah, representing that unpredictable nature of the stock market.
You never know what's coming next.
It's like trying to catch a snowflake on your tongue.
Good luck with that.
Exactly.
It's
Just
tough.
too difficult, too unpredictable. So instead of trying to time the market, let's focus on what we can control.
Right. Our own approach. Our strategy.
Think of it like a surfer riding the waves,
Yeah.
adapting to those ever-changing conditions of the ocean.
You can't control the ocean, but you can control how you ride those waves.
That's what we need to do in the market. Adapt. Adjust.
Focus on the fundamentals.
Well, we've come full circle on our tour of Manhattan, exploring all those key concepts from Poor Charlie's Almanack. It's been a whirlwind tour,
We covered a lot of ground.
but we hope that you found it helpful.
that these principles will guide you on your own journey toward financial wisdom.
And don't forget that memory palace, folks. We've linked all those concepts to vivid images and familiar landmarks.
It's a fun way to learn, but it really works.
So revisit those locations in your mind. Strengthen those connections.
Keep practicing.
And remember, Poor Charlie's Almanack, it's not just an investment guide. It's a book about life, about decision-making, about understanding how the world works.
It's a treasure trove of wisdom.
One thing that really stands out for me is Munger's focus on character, on ethical behavior.
He really believed that integrity, that's paramount.
Success that's achieved through unethical means. It's hollow.
It's unsustainable, it won't last.
He said it best himself. If you want to live a good life, you have to be a good person.
Powerful words.
Words to live by.
Oh.
And they apply to so much more than just investing.
Absolutely.
Okay, one last thought for y'all before we wrap things up. Munger often talked about the inversion principle. It's this idea of approaching a problem by thinking about what you want to avoid,
Instead of what you want to achieve.
so instead of asking, how can I be successful? Ask yourself, what are the common mistakes that lead to failure? And how can I avoid them?
By inverting the problem, you gain a fresh perspective. You might see things you wouldn't have seen otherwise.
It's a powerful tool. And you can apply it to so much more than just investing.
Oh, absolutely. It's a life hack.
So there you have it. Our journey through Poor Charlie's Almanack comes to an end.
It's been a pleasure.
We've covered a lot, but this is just the beginning. Now it's your turn to dive deeper into the book to explore these ideas.
To apply them, make them your own.
Remember, learning is a lifelong journey.
Stay curious.
Keep exploring.
And never stop learning.
Until next time, happy reading.
And may your lattice work of mental models continue to grow.